Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your post-game debate show. I'm your host, the Gov, and it is finished. Preston 1, Ipswich Town 2 pre-season action. And what did we make of that? What are your thoughts following today's pre-season win? It is only pre-season. We must bear that in mind, but we do look absolutely stunningly beautiful in orange, particularly the way we play. It is something to be admired. Now, I'm going to try and stay as still as I possibly can, so the audio holds up, because Gov still hasn't gotten the microphone in order yet. But joining me tonight to debate, react, and discuss tonight's pre-season is, of course, Richard Chandler. Richard, how are you?
I'm all right. You?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we want the guys and girls at home to get their comments in the live chat. We'll try and read them out as we go. And of course, if you're watching this back and it's not live, please do feel free to keep involved, keep your comments coming in, leave a comment in our YouTube section. I'll try and respond to as many as I possibly can. But it's finished 2-1. It's a win away against the Championship, I'll say rival, but I don't know how close the two teams will be come May 2024. What are your thoughts on this evening?
I thought overall really positive, because I think we played really good football at times. There was movement and moves very similar to what we played in League One. And Preston looked like they were blowing out their backside in the first half, to be honest, from running around chasing the ball.
Yes, first half particularly, I thought we were really crisp, really crisp with our two-touch pass and move. In fact, even in the second half, with our second goal, you could see we almost... I'm not aware of what Preston's pre-season routine has been like, but it looked like the week away in Austria in the heat had really sort of brought the lads on, and the conditioning is really getting there. But I just thought we looked really good. And I know it's pre-season. You're not going to get real life or real game time simulation. But if teams don't press us the way Preston didn't press us in that first 20, 25, 30 minutes, Wolfie particularly will have a field day next year, because he's so good with the ball. And when you give him time, as Preston was affording him, and again, pre-season, don't know how well teams will press next year, but if you give him time, he's going to look a real Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? You look at when he's got the time and he comes forward with it, and Burgess actually, when he's coming forward with it, defensively is a different kettle of fish, but when he comes forward with it, they both look like they've got acres of space, loads of movement in front of them, loads of balls that they can play. And then in the end, the first goal has come from a big ball over the top by Mass, I think.
Yeah, Massimo with the diagonal.
And a great bit of control from Jackson, and a lovely pass and little tap from Brody. So I think that's all the kind of stuff that we played last season in League One. I think it's difficult to gauge, like you say, but we've got Luton and two Bundesliga teams coming up, which you would imagine will be an even tougher test. So I'm as confident as I was before that we'll be okay in the Championship.
Yeah, and like night following day, Broadhead and Chaplin linking up, Chaplin with an instinctive good finish. It's good to see. Pre-season you can't really tell much, but it's good to see those types of patterns of play. Diagonal ball, good touch, good play into Broadhead into Chaplin, goal. That's the sort of patterns of play you build on Monday to Friday, and you want to see being taken into the game.
Yeah, totally. That's straight off the training ground in Austria, straight off the training ground probably every day last season. Yeah. And from all accounts of all of the players, they train even in the season 6 days a week, which most clubs don't. And that's showing, I think, when it comes to fitness on pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I did notice, sort of watching the Championship back end of last year, when it looked like we were getting promoted, and from today, and again, pre-season can't take a lot out of it, but teams don't like to press predominantly from the front. They like to press in the middle. So they'll allow you to have it across your back three. But the moment it goes into Morsey, into Massimo, into those central areas, that's when they really press. That's when they really start to hunt in packs of 2 and 3. And there were instances, let's not, skirt around it. We won, but, Morsey and Mass, it's still pre-season, but you're not going to have that sort of maybe time or that extra ability that you had the year before because you've stepped up. So it's good to play a team like Preston who are going to do that and operate in that way and show you and bring you into that game conditioning.
Yeah, totally. And I think the way that Ladapo was brilliant at chasing down the defenders and chasing off the defenders all night for as long as he was on the pitch for today. And that can't be underestimated. That takes a lot of work. And that's what Hurst was doing at the back end of last season before Ladapo would come on. And they've just flipped it around for tonight. I think I'm really positive about us going forward. I think everyone knows that we're looking to strengthen still further, and that's only a positive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Some comments coming in saying, good to see you blending in with the Talking Town decor. Last year's shirts really, really doing the business there. And how good were we in orange? Like if we're going to play like that in the season in Dutch orange as well, we looked the business, don't we?
We did. I think it's only a matter of time before I change this for the orange one, but I didn't get the orange. I've only got the blue. So
okay. Well, I've only got the blue as well, but the orange, did surprise me. Mike D says, Gov, can you take Stephen Ward mode off on Discord? I tell you what, I'll release the slow mode from Discord if we can get 100 likes on today's show. I'll set your target of 100 likes by this time tomorrow. If we don't have it, Mike, it stays until Sunderland in the first game of the season, and that's as much as I'm going to promise you. Andy says we will have at least 20 points more than Preston in the season. Fair comment, do you think, from Andy there?
I think so. I think Ryan Lowe's a decent manager, so who knows what they'll end up being like when it comes to being in the season. But I think that they are a mid-table championship team. I think it's a really good pre-season, but I think it's a really good gauge of where we're at. Because they're not going to have wanted to be turned over by us, so they're going to have been competing. And there was points in the first half when it looked like they were losing their rag because they weren't getting the ball. So I don't think it was a case of that they weren't trying at all.
No, well,
I think we'll be above them. I think we'll be above them, and we'll be above them comfortably.
I like that confidence. We'll clip that up and we'll play that at the end of the year. Pre-season, notoriously, it isn't competitive. They say, you're not going to get the juices flowing, the 100%, whatever it might be, that you would get when the season's on the line or it matters most. But actually, I felt today, particularly in the first half, towards the end of that first half, when the players have gotten into the rhythm of the game and they'd forgotten it's a friendly, it was really starting to heat up and really start to get competitive. And you could see that it took on a feel almost, to me, I don't know about you guys and girls at home and yourself, Rich, but it took on almost a season feel where it was end to end. It was bitty. It was scrappy. It wasn't a few niggly fouls. It was more unlike pre-season, but more like the season as the first half wore on.
Yeah, I think 20, 25 minutes in, when Preston had started to try and get the ball a bit more because they hadn't really touched it much in the first 20, 25 minutes. I think at that point, they realised they needed to up the intensity, and that made Morsey and Mass do the same back. And I think both teams probably in a league game would have got a couple of yellow cards each in the first half. Just before half time, there was a few fruity challenges going in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Colin says a forecast of 5th place finish. We were going to hear from Colin, but he's disappeared from the bottom of the dashboard. He may come back. If you do want to get involved, there is a link in the chat. Please do click it. What do you think, Kieran McKenna, on the plane home, the coach home, whichever one they've chosen to do, the train, whatever they've done, whatever mode of transport they've gone by? What do you think he'll be reflecting on and think he's learned from his squad of players from this evening?
I don't think he'll have learned anything new. I think he'll have gone into it knowing that they need to strengthen at the back, because because at centre back, if we're sending Baggett out on loan like you'd suspect, like has been said by him, then that means even more that you need to strengthen. And if Fridge has got an injury problem again, unfortunately, much as I think Fridge is a bloody good defender, he's had a lot of injury problems. You're going to need to think about whether you need to replace him or whether you need to make sure that you've got someone who can play for 30 odd games rather than the 20 that he might get.
Yeah, it's a fair point, particularly if the three at the back that's being talked about, is McKenna sort of really looking at that as in terms of what he can do next year. It does look a little bit thin in places, particularly in that centre half area. But Don Ball, played wide of the three, played a right back. The Junaid Danastian hybrid role, we like to call it, where it's a right back, but it also can be a right-sided centre back out of possession. I thought he looked really good there. Albeit limited time on the ball, limited time in terms of where he was in the play, in the build-up. But I thought he looked good. I thought he looked like you could in an emergency play in there.
He was a lot better.
Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought he looked better than I thought he would going.
Has he frozen for me or has he frozen for everybody? That's what I want to know. I don't know. Richard, hopefully you'll come back to me, but you appear to have frozen. Marcus says no for Don Ball for me. We had a comment earlier in the chat which came in. I'll read that. With regards to Baggett not being good enough, said Thomas. Richard's back. Hopefully you're back, Richard. You froze up on me. I'm not sure if it was me or you, but you froze. So I thought I'd take the reins just in case. Far away.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was me or you. I think it was me. I was basically saying that I think Ball did a lot better going forward than I thought he would, because he got up and down very well. This is going to sound ironic given that I'm significantly older than him, but he's not the youngest player in the world to be getting up
and
down the pitch. But I thought he did well, but I think it's a backup. I don't think you would want him playing 35, 40 games there.
Ian says, good evening all. Just sat in the car park after the game. Looked really good in parts. Ignore the last 10 minutes after we'd made 37 changes. And he also said you can't judge Baggett after just that. Because Thomas said earlier in the chat that he felt Baggett perhaps wasn't good enough. He's a young player. Will probably go out on loan. He needs that game time, doesn't he? And he does need to go somewhere where he's going to play regularly.
Yeah, and I think, McKenna's already said that he's going to go out on loan. So I think he needs to go to the right League One club and play 40 games and then come back a better player because of the fact that he's played that number of games.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. As does very similar to Idris. He went out on loan with obviously Leighton Orient, comes back. You then have that question mark. He's grown as a player. What do you do with the player? Obviously Idris going back out on loan. But yeah, Elkan Baggett is still a very young player. Before I ask you for a player that stood out for you tonight, don't forget.
Yeah, I think he's only 19.
He is only 19. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. You can support the platform by scanning the QR code on the screen or hitting the link in the description. Become a Talking Town 5th Town today. Get access to the Stephen Ward Discord channel. That's an enticement if ever I heard one, Richard.
Yeah, it's because if you were in Discord more often, you would see the kind of chat that goes on and people go to comment and then realize they've pressed enter and then they've got to wait a minute.
It's an anti-spam device, Rich. It's meant to stop people from, hit and send too often. Before I get your stand-up performer tonight, Ben, are you there? Ben Moore?
Yeah.
Good, man. How are you, man? You well?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Good man. We're
I'm all good.
We're all thinking of you. We're all with you. What did you make of tonight?
I thought it was a very good performance against a bog standard mid-table championship side. I think we'll be comfortably above them, like Rich said. I think we need 2 or 3 defenders still in the door. But for that, when he plays out the door ourselves.
James poses a question here. I'll put to you, Ben. What's your thoughts on Taylor's pre-season so far?
Don't know. Is that Jack Taylor?
Yeah.
Jack Taylor's pre-season.
Limited is
he'll
what I'd say.
grow into the game. I think, yeah, limited, but I think he needs to find the right partner to allow him to play what he played at Peterborough. If we see it.
And when I say limited, Rich, I mean limited in terms of what we've seen as fans. You know, obviously one of the games in Austria wasn't viewable. If he played in it or not, I can't quite remember. But we've not seen as much from him yet as we're going to. And it's pre-season. But Ben says they're the best partner for him. When he plays, if he's a starter, it's going to be Sam Morse, isn't it, Rich?
That'll be the person that he has to play alongside if he plays the central midfield role and it's in a 2. But I think if we are trying the 3, then are we going to end up in a scenario where in some games we play 3 at the back and we play him, Morsey and Luongo in the middle? Because then that would free up Taylor to go forward a lot more and be like an extra number 10 when we're in possession. But I don't know. I think at the moment, on the limited bits I've seen,
he's frozen again. Lucky it's pre-season, Ben. Otherwise, I'd be dishing out fines because we had Richard on Sunday. We've got Richard again on Wednesday. It'd be fine season, Ben, if this was in the season. But I'll ask you one player that stood out for you tonight.
Connor Chaplin.
Connor Chaplin, lovely. Yeah, often stands out.
I think for me, I did like. This is going to sound weird because it's coming from me, but Sonny Aluko. I thought he looked good.
Yeah. Good. All right. Sonny Aluko. Richard said he keeps freezing. Go on.
I think for me, would Aluko play as much? No, I think we'll see him against Bristol Rovers in that crappy Carabao Cup or whatever they call it now.
Yeah, you won't see me there, Ben. I'm not going to that. I've seen enough of Bristol Rovers over the last 4 years to never see him again. Richard, you're back. One player stood out for you before we leave.
Player that stood out for me is Don Ball in the first half. And second half, Hurst had a couple of good chances and took one. You'd be happy with that if he got a goal every game and missed a couple of chances.
Yeah, I think we got the gist of what Rich was saying there, Ben. But there we go. So we've done a little bit of a show, getting the Gremlins worked out, ready for when we go and, face Sunderland and Norwich and the big teams in the Championship. No disrespect to Preston. But getting the Gremlins worked out. It's not just Jack Taylor and co getting a workout. Stretching those legs, albeit technical as they are. Ben, it's been a pleasure talking football with you, my man. But we're done for the evening. We are back again on Sunday. It's been a real pleasure talking football with yourself, with Richard, and with our live chat. And if you want to leave a comment, please do so. But until Sunday, Town of 1, Connor Chaplin scored, and George Hurst. We didn't even talk about George Hurst's goal, Ben. The boys are back in town. Chaplin scoring, Hurst scoring. It's, je ne sais quoi.
It's all looking good. Bring on Cambridge Cambridge is Stevenage on Saturday.
As I said, I thought you say it again so soon, is it?
Oh my God. No, it weren't.
No, it certainly wasn't. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I